or a special Thursday night edition. Reason being real simple. We couldn't have been here last night if we wanted to because it was the Toms River Halloween Parade, and the Office Restaurant and Lounge is the place during, before, after, and all of that. So we're on Thursday this week, and we are at live, the Office Restaurant and Lounge in Toms River. Kevin Williams, Ed Sarluk, and Bob Batters broadcasting on 105.7 The Hawk, and delighted to be along with you as we get set for the opening round of the NJSI AA playoffs. Tonight we feature two teams that are getting ready for playoff games this weekend. In just a few minutes, we'll talk with the Big Red of Ocean, head coach Don Klein and his outstanding two-way senior co-captain Ryan Moran. And then a little bit later in the show, it'll be Brick Memorial Mustang time. We'll chat with head coach Walt Curry and his terrific senior quarterback Tyler Sindell. Guys, and I want to start tonight.
You sure it's November 1st, not June 1st?
Yeah, tell you what, we could have done the show outside tonight. There's no doubt about it. Say, it is Coach Klein. How are you, Don? And I do want to start, and I think we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the Shore Conference football family really suffered a devastating loss this week with the passing of Donnie Klein, who was a former all-star player at Manasquan High School, later went back to his alma mater as a coach, also coached lacrosse, and most recently an assistant coach at the College of New Jersey, who passed away in a car accident earlier this week. And I know how, just from everything we've read and heard, it's been a very rough week, especially for the long blue line at Manasquan. And I know I echo the sentiments of you two guys and all of us associated with the Shore Sports Network, and sending our thoughts and prayers to the entire Klein family.
Yeah, I echo those thoughts. You know, it's always sad when you lose a coach, and then when you lose, somebody in the fraternity of the Shore, it's even more devastating.
Yeah, definitely sad. There's no two ways to put it. I got to know Donnie pretty well over the last, handful of years. Him coaching both football and lacrosse, which I cover in the spring, and you just hear from all the people that knew him real well. Of course, Manasquan head coach Jay Price. You've got Manasquan head coach, Howell head coach Luke Sinkhorn, who was a teammate of him. PJ Gibbs, who we know, well, was an assistant coach at Manasquan and some other Shore schools. Now is down in Florida. That Vic Caboo coaching tree, spreads far and wide. And you're right, as those guys said, the long blue line got a little tighter. And yeah, it's tough when when you lose a member of the local football fraternity.
Leaves his young son and his girlfriend, and leaves a lot of friends and a lot of young athletes whose lives he touched as a coach and a mentor for many years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Good, bad, or ugly. Describing the playoff picture, the playoff scenario has certainly been a subject of great debate going back into this season, the unknown of the new formula, and now that it's here. And clearly there's been a lot of controversy this week in the whole process of how the teams were selected, how they were seeded, the mysterious Born Index, which is kind of like the secret ingredient, like trying to find out what's in Opco Donuts in Toms River. Only one person.
Line,
yeah, it was a good line, wasn't it?
Very good line.
Only one person knows, and all of that. But be that as it may, tomorrow night at around 6 o'clock in some cases, or actually 5 o'clock in some cases, tomorrow night the Born Index will be irrelevant. It'll be time to play playoff football, and it's one of those, win and you advance, lose and you're done in terms of the playoffs.
Yeah, 24 Shore Conference teams are in the playoffs, and we get set tomorrow. And you're right, there's been a lot of talk about this new playoff system, a lot of controversy. There's a lot of teams with losing records, and not just losing records, some 1- and 2-win teams in. We've seen 3-win teams in the playoffs before, and we recently had a team that was 3 wins going into the playoffs, win a state title in Raritan a few years ago. So that's not unheard of, but you're right. It's certain that most of the talk this week has been about this system and who likes it, who doesn't like it, who kind of was hurt by it, who was helped by it. But you're right. Doesn't matter now. It's time to play the games. 3 to a state title.
If you put this in conjunction with the change in the Shore Conference realignment going into this year, the goal of the Shore Conference was to provide as many of their teams with a schedule that would allow them to play the playoffs. And I believe it is more this year than last year. I think it was 19 made the playoffs last year, 19 or 20.
I believe so. It was close.
It was close, but
Yeah.
it was a few more. And clearly, in the old system, or in the we would be talking about teams that didn't get in. So, if you want to take it from that standpoint, there's 43 schools in the Shore Conference that play football. 24 of them are in the playoffs. It's pretty darn good.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole idea of this new system was to get the right teams in a way, regardless of record. And certainly we've seen that. Strength of schedule is a big proponent. The team around the state that everyone has been up in arms about has kind of been the poster child has been Delran. But in reading some of the the articles this week from around the state, Delran didn't expect to be this good. They benefited from a lesser schedule that was supposed to provide them with scheduling relief, which is what the West Jersey Football League and the Shore Conference, really did to help their member schools. So when you start to look at it,
by the way,
some of these
Delran asked for.
Yes, exactly.
They asked for the schedule relief that ended up, in a way, biting them a little bit.
They appealed their original schedule, which had some more difficult opponents on it. So when you start to look at it from all angles, is it perfect? Absolutely not. People don't like the notion of a spread or a predicted outcome that's in there, and there's some things that have to be changed. But I think the teams that got in, that people are going, how does a team with only 2-3 wins get in? There's a reason why they're in, because you look at who they played and who they've beaten, and they're quality teams regardless of the wins and losses.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything Bob and you said, Kevin. But, it's just sad that, a team with a 1-7 record or a 1-6 record is in the playoffs. I mean, it just doesn't sound correct, And as you said, the poster child has been Delran, and I think Delran High School has been mentioned more times in the last 2 or 3 days than probably in the last 10 years, But hey. I think the biggest mystery was that no coach understood what the Bourne Index was, including us. Nobody in the media knew. And that's the biggest mystery. If we had known what the system was, I think it might have been
we
a
still
little
don't
bit
know
easier.
what it
we
is.
still don't know what it is, exactly.
And we're not going to.
And we're not going to,
and
because that was the purpose of getting the Bourne Index by this gentleman up north who's had it for over 45, 50 years. And, but I think the biggest part of that is the point spread, and that's got to change without a doubt.
I think the unfortunate part of a lot of this is what's come out of it is a lot of people are attacking Bill Bourne. And you see, from a lot of stuff that come out, he didn't go and just invent this thing, last year and say, hey, let's use this. The state approached him. The NJSA, the Coach Association, approached him. And he said, this is what I've been doing for 50 years. Here, do what you want with it. And from a lot of the stuff that has been out there this week, you see some members of the Coach Association saying, well, we didn't know about this. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying, oh, we did. So you don't know what's going on.
There were quite a few knee-jerk reactions, and I might have been, had one of them. I wrote a piece this week on our website, and one of the things I feel about, and I'm very passionate about this. To me, when I think of the word playoffs, I think, hey, you've had a good season. Now you can play for a championship. Not that, you didn't really have a good season, but we're going to give you a chance. I don't believe in that. I believe that, in my feeling, and I'm very strong about it, in the perfect world, you'd have to have at least a 500 record to get in the playoffs. And yes, unfortunately, some teams play brutal schedules where their 500 might be better than someone else's undefeated. But I know one thing, and I'm going to ask both Don Klein and Walt Curry tonight. When they talk to their teams in the beginning of the year, or when the kids are getting together in off-season workouts, nobody says, let's win one game but get in the playoffs. The bottom line is they want to win every week. And I think winning football games, whether you win by 1 point or 40 points, should be rewarded. And losing because you lost to good teams, you shouldn't get all these bonus points. I'm sorry, and I'm old school, I admit it. So.
And I do agree with that. The problem is where you have this imbalance in scheduling that every league faces where, you may be a team in a lesser division, and for you to win 6 games is much easier than another team to win 6 games. And one can be in the playoffs and one can't. And if you look at those two teams, the better team, and that's not the one in the playoffs. I think that's where a lot of this came from. The perfect marriage of wins and losses, but being a quality team is, I think, what everyone's chasing here. And we haven't gotten it right this season either.
Can the three of us agree on one thing? You can't go in the playoffs with 1 win.
Totally agree.
I don't care. I don't care if you play Ohio State every week. You can't be a playoff team with one win. Can you go with that?
I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah, you know. I mean, believe me, Steve Bush, the Middletown North coach who got in with one win, I guarantee you in the beginning of the year was, well, you know what, if we only win one game but we get in the playoffs, this will be a good season.
Absolutely.
You know, so. What do you say?
I totally agree. I just don't. You know, the purpose of the realignment in the Shore last year to make new divisions was to try and even out the schedules, so that you would play some better teams, some not so good teams. You know, they went on the records of the last 3 years, so they put all the schools that have been winning in the one division and so on. So that was the, you know, did they accomplish that goal? I'm not so sure they did.
If you look at the divisions in the Shore, for the most part, I think they did. But then when you have one division that's really good, and when everything came out, we looked at that one division and said, that's the best division in the Shore.
Right.
And it was. It's the only division where every single team made the playoffs, and that's the Colonial Division with Brick Memorial here, Brick, Freehold, Middletown North, St. John Vianney, and Rumson. Every single team made the playoffs. That includes one win, Middletown North. Yeah. But that, you can see, every team in that division benefited, whether from just getting in the playoffs or seed-wise, you know, from being, you know, playing a tough schedule like that. You know, Jackson Memorial is a 6-2 team, which won their division and is the number 6 seed in that Central Jersey Group 4 bracket. Their schedule is not as good. They did not have as many quality wins. So it's
I think one team in that division gave a boost to everybody else, and that was St. John Vianney because of the non-public situation where you automatically get 28 points, and if you win, 42. I think Brick Memorial got 42 points for beating St. John Vianney. Obviously, the reason why they made it into the playoffs.
Yeah, it definitely helps with the power points, but as far as the other, you know, the Born Index, the UPR, I mean, all those teams had quality ratings. Freehold, Rumson, you look at their average from the past years and what they did, Brick certainly, and even Middletown North. When you go on what they did the past couple of years, you know, that helped everyone.
What will be interesting to follow this weekend is I think there's 26 teams in the playoffs with losing records to see how they do in those games. Two of them, who, by the way, we're going to be featuring on our show tonight. But, you know, you got to believe somebody's going to pull off a pretty shocking upset of those group and going to validate to a lot of people, see, I told you it worked.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll be picking Long Branch, and Long Branch is the favorite, but you can't tell me that Long Branch isn't going, not looking forward to playing a one-win Middletown North team because they're that dangerous. So.
Yeah. Well, it all starts this weekend. By the way, just a couple of scheduling notes before we get into our show. Number one, the Jackson Memorial at Brick game scheduled for tomorrow night has already been moved to Saturday night at 6 o'clock. Unfortunately for us at the Shore Sports Network, that was going to be the game we were broadcasting, and once it moved to Saturday, it did not work for us. And people said, well, you just pick up another game on Friday night. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. We have to live by some NJSIAA guidelines, one of which is you have to put in for your game by Wednesday even to have a chance to do it. So we're kind of out of the mix that. Barnegat's game at West Deptford tomorrow night has been moved up 2 hours to 5 o'clock. And one was moved to 6 o'clock.
Central Jersey Group 2, Shore at Cinnaminson, moved up to 6 o'clock. So that's 1 hour earlier start.
The weather forecast is a little bit dicey tomorrow, and I think the word that's scaring some people is the word thunderstorms, which is in the forecast in some places in New Jersey tomorrow. So otherwise, everything else is as scheduled. You can probably check shoresportsnetwork.com throughout. And, of course, Bob will be tweeting any changes as well that we get.
We'll have it all.
We'll have it all. All right, well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go Big Red time. We're going to talk with Don Klein and Ryan Moran from Ocean High School. Right after this, you're listening to the Gateway Toyota Coaches Corner on 105.7 The Hawk.
6-month lease with approved credit through TFS Corolla 5189 or RAV 44988 to assigning $0 security deposit. Excludes tax tag title 439 doc fee 10K miles per year. Ends 11/30/2018.
Get it all at Gateway Toyota.
Black Friday is here at Gateway Toyota. Drive new 2019 Corolla LE CVT or 2018 RAV 4 LE. Your choice, just $99 a month.
Get it all at Gateway Toyota.
Toms River GatewayToyota.com.
football fan, and sometimes you want to watch the games with your friends and other fans. The Office Restaurant and Lounge loves football and invites you to watch all the games in their 28 HD TVs and take advantage of their awesome $6 football menu. On Thursday and Sunday, buy a 22-ounce mug for $4 and get refills of Miller Lite or Coors Light for just $2. Enjoy football with your friends at Tom's River's Place to meet and eat for 42 years. The Office Restaurant and Lounge at the intersection of Route 37 and Main Street.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds, or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
At AutoZone, helping you get more done is what we do best. Like with the AutoZone Rewards program. You'll earn a $20 reward every time you spend $20 or more 5 times.
It's just one more way to get more done. And right now, get a $10 AutoZone gift card by mail-in rebate when you purchase a Sylvania Silver Star Ultra Twin Pack or 2 single packs. 2 single packs must be purchased on same sales receipt.
Visit any of our 5,500 locations nationwide and let us do more for you.
See terms at AutoZone.com/rewards. Restrictions and details in store.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Get to JCPenney's Super Saturday Sale with 90-day doorbusters from Friday 3 p.m. to 1 p.m. Saturday. Shop select $12.99 sweaters for her, select $6.99 kids long sleeve graphic tees, and select $17.99 denim for him and her. Plus, get an extra 50% off already reduced final take clearance prices and an extra 20% off with coupon any way you pay. JCPenney, style and value for all. Coupon and clearance valid 10/11 to 10/13. Doorbusters valid 10/12 to 10/13. Select times only while supplies last. Coupon required. Conditions and exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
You're listening to the Gateway Toyota Coach's Corner. Classic rock for the Jersey Shore. 105.7 The Hawk and 105.7thehawk.com.
And it is brought to you by Gateway Toyota, proud member of Penske Auto Group and dedicated to providing the best customer service at the Jersey Shore. We're at the Office Restaurant and Lounge in Tom's River. Ed Sarluca takes a union break. Bob and I are joined by Ocean Township head coach Don Klein and senior running back and linebacker Ryan Moran. And Don, I'll start with you. You've listened to all the rhetoric about the playoffs. Now, you're 4-5. In fairness, in the old system, 4-4 would have been your record at the cutoff. So you wouldn't have had a losing record. But you're in, and I know you're happy to be in. Are you a fan, a non-fan, or ambivalent on the whole thing, including the division realignment and the state playoff situation?
When you look at each one individually, I think the realignment makes sense, right? When you evaluate the success of some of the teams over the course of whether it's 3 years, 2 years, last year, whatever it is, I think there's some positive things to scheduling teams and giving people opportunities to be competitive and not having to face some top competition year in, year out. I've been doing this long enough to also know that in the playoffs, no matter what system we come up with, somebody's going to be left out that probably shouldn't be, and somebody's going to get in that probably shouldn't also. So I'm kind of ambivalent to the playoff system. I do think it'll probably end up being changed. I don't think that point spreads and margin of victory and things like that should be considered when we're talking about high school athletics. But,
by the way, you are in Central Jersey Group 3, or the number 7 seed. You will visit number 2 Rumson tomorrow night. A division, by the way, 5 of the 8 teams there are from the Shore Conference, which says something about Shore Conference football. Bob, I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, and Ryan, like we were talking to Coach, 4-4 at the break, you guys lost last week, so 4-5 going in, but it's the playoffs now, so none of that stuff really matters. I mean, is it nice to just be able to go, all right, regular season over, kind of just throw that stuff by the wayside and, hey, one game in front of you, it's Rumson, focus on that? Is it nice to be able to just kind of compartmentalize all that and have that one focus now?
Yeah, the regular season's definitely behind us. We've been focusing on Rumson all week, getting prepared. We don't care that we're the 7th seed going in. We're just going to go to their place, play our best game, and just keep playing hard.
When did you have a pretty good idea Rumson was going to be your opponent prior to last weekend, or you really didn't know?
No. I mean, I think, the kind of one of the scenarios was that we would play Rumson. I think, we had thought that we would be at Homedale or at Red Bank Regional. I think that the difference between the 7th seed and us being the 6th was 0.2 points. So, there was obviously some wiggle room there. But overall, I think we were kind of thinking that it would probably be Red Bank, and then the way it shook out, it became Rumson.
Let's kind of look at the body of this season. Now, you were 2-8 last year. You had a very young team. I guess it was the first year of the post-Kenny Pickett era, right? And by the way, he's done a pretty nice job at Pitt, your former quarterback. But I think the expectations were pretty high that things were going to turn around. And, you know, when you lost in that week 0 to Lacey, I got to be honest with you, it was kind of a shock to a lot of us and probably a shock to you. But the pieces have started to come together. You lost 4 of your first 5. Then you ripped off 3 straight wins before losing to a good Manasquan team. So if you were taking the season as a whole, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think your analysis was dead on. I mean, going into the Lacey game, we felt good. We thought we had a really good offseason, a good preseason with what we did. Our starting quarterback went out in the early part of the second quarter against Lacey. Our backup, one of our best athletes, Alex Bryant, came in after Robbie went down. He went down 5 plays later. So when you talk about the perfect storm in an opening game, your starting quarterback's out early in the second quarter, and then one of your better athletes that you're bringing after him goes down 5 or 6 plays later. We didn't deal with that well, and I think that ultimately led to us not having some success in week 0. And then we lost Robbie, I think, for the next 3 weeks. So he came back for Red Bank. We were up 13-0 at half in that game. Didn't finish it. But then, like you mentioned, we ripped off a couple wins at home and put ourselves in position to make the playoffs.
Now, Don, when you look at your schedule, obviously, as Kevin said, you had the loss to Lacey, and obviously there's some circumstances there that led to that. But, the rest of your schedule, those other losses are all the teams ranked, in our top 10. Red Bank Catholic, obviously, #1 team in the Shore. Long Branch right now, best public school team in the Shore Conference. Red Bank team, as you mentioned, that's top 10. And then last week to Manasquan. So after that, you guys have kind of taken care of business and done your part. Was that nice to see that the team was able to kind of regroup? You got past early, that tough stretch early, and certainly you guys are playing probably your best football right now.
Yeah, that was key. Coming off of 2-8, when you have some adversity early in the season, a team can go one of 2 ways, and we did a good job of keeping everybody together. Our practice habits improved. We stayed focused on what we needed to do, and ultimately we had some success later on in the season. But if you factor in Rumson this week, tomorrow night, it's another top 5, top 6 team. So half of our games have come against top 5, top 6 teams in the Shore. So it's good that we did what we needed to do in the games that we won, and ultimately to put us in a position to battle again tomorrow night.
All right, so Ryan, you're a senior, coming back, high expectations for this year, co-captain. You guys lose 4 of your first 5 games, so give me the player's perspective. Like, what are you saying at that point to try and keep the team focused and understanding there are winnable games on our schedule, things will get better?
Yeah, we were really down after Lacey, and then kept losing. RBC, Long Branch came after that, came back, beat Toms River East, so we were pretty happy about that. And then after that, we just kept the ball rolling. The fan base was behind us. We had the school behind us. We had all our players amped up after that. Looking forward, we were talking about the top 10 teams. We saw a little opportunity where we got out of that, and we just kept rolling through those teams and got the job done when we could.
Well, I want to ask you about one particular game for you, and that was the Point Borough game. A very important game, by the way, for your team, a 27-21 win. And Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he had something like 24 tackles in that game.
School record,
and
25.
25 tackles, and was our Circle Chevrolet Player of the Week, right?
He was, and rightfully so. The fan base came out and voted for you. 25 tackles. When you're having a game like that, do you even know that you kind of have that many stops, or you just kind of in the flow?
No, we just kept going. The whole defense, we were just preaching next play. We knew they were going to fight back in the second half. We were up 14-0 after the first, and we just kept going. The D-line did a great job keeping the linemen off of me and just flew around and made plays.
Is that where you kind of felt the season start to turn, after that week, and looking back and kind of seeing the way the schedule plays out? Certainly the way you won that game, on that touchdown pass, to hold in from Robbie with, I think it was 2 or 3 seconds left. When you win the game like that, that's got to be a big boost. So that next week of practice, could you kind of feel, good things starting to go your way?
Yeah, we definitely got the ball rolling after that. That's pretty much the turning point of our season. We really started to see our future in the playoffs, and we're going to make a run at it.
So, Rumson tomorrow night.
Yep.
You're obviously pretty familiar with them just because they're a Shore Conference foe. Now, they have an outstanding running back in Alex Mulgin, who last week left the game at halftime with an ankle injury. Yeah. Bob, he is expected to play tomorrow night.
I would imagine so. They're not telling me his dad. It's certainly not this time.
He wasn't on the injury report that we saw.
Yeah, right.
But Don, assuming he's healthy, is that defensively? Is that the first thing you have to try and take away from them a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, we do have some familiarity with Rumson. We have great respect for their program and their coaching staff. We do some stuff with them in the summer. Top-notch program, run a first-class program there. Offensively for them, it starts with the running back. I mean, they're a big physical team. They do a good job of being a little bit more multiple than maybe they've been in the past, but the running back is a special player. He's a special kid, and they do a good job of feeding him the ball.
Ryan, I'm sure you guys have seen on film with Malgin. He can break a lot of tackles, and if you're not technically sound, I mean, he's going to make you miss. I mean, how much of a point of emphasis hasn't been to, A, try to fly to the ball, but be technically sound. I mean, tackle the right way, or he can easily slip some tackles and break a long touchdown.
Yeah, no, he's obviously a good player. We're looking at the whole offense, so they can throw the ball, but first thing is definitely stop him. They're big up front, and he's their main player, so just get to the ball, wrap up, and finish the play.
I know it's a different offense, but it did give you confidence, against Manasquan. You guys played them well. I mean, one of their touchdowns came defensively, so you gave 14 points to a team that's going to run the ball, 80% of the time probably, and you guys defended them pretty well. I mean, did you guys do some good things in that game you feel like can carry over?
Yeah, I felt like we definitely tackled pretty well that game. It could definitely get better. We had him wrapped up a couple times. He got away, so just looking to improve on that this week and make sure he hits the ground.
Don, when you have the ball, what do you have to do?
Well, first of all, we have to remain, have good balance because they're very good in their front seven. I mean, big physical kids that run well. They're very, well versed in their scheme, and you can see that, they're a team that plays well together. So we have to be multiple. We have to be able to keep them off balance and not let them get a read on what we're doing. I do think that with the weather being what the weather is and all those things, ball control, not turning the ball over is going to be big. And we feel good about our big play ability. I mean, Trevor Pena to me is one of the most explosive athletes in the Shore Conference. Alex Bryant's in that ilk too. So when you talk about two kids that are special athletes, we have to get the ball in their hands and they have to create for us.
And you kind of mentioned what I was just going to ask you, the big play ability. A defense that's as good as Rumson, it's hard to put together a 12-play, 70-yard drive against them, or at least do it multiple times. The fact that you have that big play capability on the outside with Trevor Pena and Alex Bryan as well, and you have a quarterback that's capable of delivering the ball. Not that you can game plan for that, hey, let's go score an 80-yard touchdown, but that's got to be nice to have that in your back pocket that, no, you can take some chances at the right time of the game and could work out.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been really an offense all year that's put 12 or 14 play drives together. I mean, that's very difficult to do in high school football. It's difficult at any level of football. But having weapons that can take the ball 60, take the ball 80 every time they touch it, that forces people to be, a little bit more respectful of that and takes people out of the box a little bit and makes it a little bit easier sometimes. But Rumson does a great job. They're going to be well coached and ready to play tomorrow night. And like I said, their front seven, very, very physical. Kids that run well. You can see that on film. But big playability that we have, we're very fortunate to have those guys.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. We saw Rumson a few weeks ago against Frick, a game we did on the Shore Sports Network. I was really impressed by their physicality, the size of their team. They're big. They got some big dudes on that team, and they have a big roster and are very deep. Ryan Moran, let me ask you this. I always wonder about this. We are now at win or else time of the season. So as you're going through practice this week, you and your fellow seniors are realizing, like, this could be it. You're going to run out. I know you're not thinking that way, but you're going to run out on the field tomorrow night knowing that if we don't win, this will be the last time I wear an Ocean jersey. This will be the last time I represent the school. Any special feelings with that in mind going through this week?
Yeah, we never really think we're going to lose, so we just want to go out there, play our best game, and whatever the scoreboard turns out, it turns out. We really don't want this to be our last game, so we're just going to play our hardest every play.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got, obviously you go in, you're going, hey, we're going to win this game, but for a senior, that's got to change the sense of urgency where it's just human nature. When you're a junior last year, you're thinking, hey, we're going to win this game, but there's next year. You can look forward to that. And now it's not the case. How can you describe how just mentally that makes you go about things, different when it's your last go-around?
Yeah, I guess it kind of beats people down a little bit, but we're getting fired up. We're just keeping going this week. As the week went on, kind of got better in practice, learning the game plan a little more, and just go out there, be fired up, and get ready to go all game.
For you personally, thoughts on after your senior year? Do you have any idea in terms of college plans? Do you like to still play football?
Yeah, I definitely want to still play football. I've been talking to a couple of schools. TCNJ, obviously, we're talking about Coach Klein. Kind of a big part of that.
Yeah.
And a couple other looks, but we're going to see right after the season. Yeah.
But for you, the season's not going to end tomorrow night anyway, so you have plenty of time.
Hopefully not.
Don, Ocean is one of those traditional schools. Great lineage, great heritage. I mean, even Ed Sarluca coached there, for goodness sake.
Right.
So, I remember talking to you like when you were the new guy. I looked up today and I said, wait, he's been there 12 years?
Yeah. It's like dog years. It feels like 80.
But for the most part, you've had success.
Yep.
You've had a couple of dry years, but you were in the sectional finals just a few years ago. I mean, do you still enjoy? I mean, coaches talk about how it's changed. It's now 12 months a year. There really is no off season. Is it as much fun, or is it a different kind of thing for you now?
It's a different kind of thing. It's still a lot of fun. I mean, there is nowhere else that you get Friday night. Friday night, when you prepare all week with your staff, and I'm fortunate to have an outstanding staff. When you go out on Friday nights and you compete at a high level and you play well, there's no other feeling. It's very hard to recreate just in life in general. But coaching high school football, especially at a place like Ocean Township, like you mentioned, is a 12-month commitment. I mean, we're together with these kids a lot. And I'm fortunate to have a wife that supports it. My girls love coming to the games. They're telling me you're going to keep coaching forever. We love coming to the games and all that stuff. But it's hard. It's a grind. We're together. Basically from December. It's 12 months. I mean, we'll give them a couple of weeks at the end of the season, but then we're in the weight room. We start getting together the first week of June with our organized team activities, the 7-on-7s, the practices over the summer, the preseason. It's a big commitment. But when you have good kids, when you have a program like we do at Ocean Township, it makes it all worthwhile.
It's not just the expectation of continuing the tradition. It's also knowing the team you're playing, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we mentioned with their schedule. I mean, the success that Coach Conti had in his reign as head coach, it's like a shadow. It follows you everywhere. I mean, it's a motivator. I mean, you never want to be before me, there were 13 years between Coach Conti and myself. There were 5 different head coaches at Ocean Township. And that wasn't because they're not good football coaches.
Yeah.
It's a tough place to coach.
Yeah.
And the success and the tradition that we have at Ocean Township, nobody wants to be the guy that tradition doesn't continue under. So that's a huge motivator for me. It's been a huge motivator my entire career. But like I mentioned, I have a great staff, guys that really, really knowledgeable guys who work their tails off, and we've had some really good players over the years.
Well said. Very, very well said. Don, we really appreciate you coming down. I mean, you got a game in 24 hours, so we do appreciate you taking the haunt down here to Toms River and chatting with us. And not only will wish you luck tomorrow night, but, of course, as long as you continue to wear the red.
Appreciate
always a pleasure to talk football with you.
I see Coach Curry is here tonight also. I think Coach Curry, his first year as head coach at Brick Memorial was the same year that I was
You are
first
absolutely.
year.
You're both in your 12th
I got an
year.
Asbury Park press somewhere at my house where it was all the new head coaches on that picture. And, there's like 10 of them. I don't know that there's many left off that picture other than me and Coach. So, we'll keep it going.
Ryan, congratulations on all you've achieved this senior season, and I hope for your sake it certainly doesn't end tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming
Appreciate
down.
you guys.
Don Klein, Ryan Moran. Hang on one second, guys. We're going to take a break, and we will go Mustangs right after this. You're listening to the Gateway Toyota Coaches Corner on 105.7 The Hawk.
36-month lease with approved credit through TFS Corolla 5189 or RAV 44988 to assigning $0 security deposit. Excludes tax tag title 439 doc fee 10K miles per year. Ends 11/30/2018.
Get it all at Gateway Toyota.
Black Friday is here at Gateway Toyota. Drive new 2019 Corolla LE CVT or 2018 RAV4 LE. Your choice, just $99 a month.
Get it all at Gateway Toyota.
Toms River GatewayToyota.com.
You're a football fan, and sometimes you want to watch the games with your friends and other fans. The Office Restaurant and Lounge loves football and invites you to watch all the games in their 28 HD TVs and take advantage of their awesome $6 football menu. On Thursday and Sunday, buy a 22-ounce mug for $4 and get refills of Miller Lite or Coors Light for just $2. Enjoy football with your friends at Toms River's Place to meet and eat for 42 years. The Office Restaurant and Lounge at the intersection of Route 37 and Main Street.
Tomorrow, Julia Roberts comes to Prime Video in a new series, Homecoming.
You were employed at the Homecoming Transitional Support Center?
I was a counselor. I worked with soldiers.
Critics rave. Homecoming is enthralling, truly eerie, a throwback thriller, expertly done. Directed by the creator of Mr. Robot.
The soldiers, were they there on a voluntary basis?
I don't know.
Homecoming, premiering tomorrow. only on Prime Video.
With the Capital One Quicksilver Card, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere. It's easy. That's just the way I like it.
Oh, that's the way, I like it, that's the way, I like it,
Woo! The Quicksilver Card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
that's the way,
Capital One Bank, USA, NA.
What gives one company the edge over another? Maybe it's not one thing. Maybe it's taking care of lots of things that help a business run smoothly. In other words, Cintas. Cintas has products that help your people stay safe and apparel programs that convey the right image. They service fire protection equipment, deliver and stock restroom supplies, and make sure facilities are clean and ready. Because when all those things work together, you're in business.
Oh, I'm ready.
Get Cintas and get ready for the workday.
The new Shore Sports Network app allows you to get the most comprehensive Shore Conference high school sports coverage with just a tap. Everything from football and soccer scoreboards, video highlights to Player of the Week voting. You can even watch our live streaming of games and shows. Plus, the new Shore Sports Network app is free. It's just a quick download to your smartphone or tablet from the App Store or Google Play. It's powered by Donovan Catholic. It makes a difference. And ShoreSportsNetwork.com.
You're listening to the Gateway Toyota Coach's Corner. Classic rock for the Jersey Shore. 105.7 The Hawk and 105.7thehawk.com.
And we are back at the Office Restaurant and Lounge. Bob Batters now on his union-imposed break. Kevin and Ed, along with Brick Memorial coach Walt Curry and his outstanding senior quarterback Tyler Sindel, as we talk Mustangs football. They get ready to travel to Freehold Borough on Saturday afternoon. That game in the Central Jersey Group 4 quarterfinals. Brick Memorial, the 5-seed, Freehold Borough, the 4-seed. It's a rematch, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I'm going to open up with Coach Curry. And Coach Klein mentioned it's 12 years. Both of you started the same year. Is it gone fast? Is it dragged on? Is it for you? Is it enjoyable and as exciting as it was more than a decade ago?
Well, I'll answer the first couple of questions first. I mean, first of all, I mean, it's almost a tale of two different careers. On one hand, it feels like it's flown by, like it feels like it was yesterday. At the same time, it feels like it was a lifetime ago. Like I'm not a completely different person or a different coach, but it certainly feels like it was a lifetime ago. As far as my love for it, I love doing it. I love coming to work every day. I love coaching our kids. They're my kind of kids. You know, they're blue collar kids, and they're willing to work to get better every single day. And that's kind of the same mold that I was brought up in. And so for me, it's a perfect fit.
Only because I started off the segment with Ocean on this theme, but the whole playoff situation, the Shore Conference realignment, and if I was the czar, obviously you wouldn't be here tonight because I don't want anyone in the playoffs with a losing record. You're 3-5, but I don't count. But how do you feel now, having gone through the year? Your Reader's Digest version of the whole thing?
Well, first of all, we don't really have much control. As an individual coach or program, you don't have a control over who you play, especially in the Shore. When you came in and pick your own non-divisional games. You're handed your schedule. So we play who we play, and we play the best we can, and they decided we were good enough to be in the playoffs, so here we are. I understand you want to be 500 and all those kinds of things in the Middletown North argument. But I would also argue this. If Middletown North was playing in the A North division from last year, they'd be 4-4 or 5-3, and they'd be in. So, on one hand, I get the scheduling and why they try to do it that way. But on the other hand, I think a lot was lost. And hopefully there's a chance for it to get back to some local rivalries. I know we enjoy playing Jackson every year, just like Jackson enjoys playing us. We enjoy playing Southern and the Toms Rivers, and they enjoy playing us. And those local rivalries are really huge in high school football. If you don't have local rivalries, what do you have? I mean, imagine if Texas didn't play Oklahoma in college football. I mean, obviously going to realign because they want to make the playoff system better. And now Texas doesn't play Oklahoma. Well, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And that would never fly. And so I think that's one of the things that is going to be a big thing. I don't think the 1-7 thing is going to be a big thing because it's built on PowerPoints anyway. And Middletown North played two parochial schools. They played Vianney and they played RBC, and they played RBC tough. And you tell me what other school in the short conference would play RBC as tough as Middletown North? And that team, if they would play them tougher than Middletown North did, then they deserve to go to the playoffs and not Middletown North. But they played them tough. And if you watch that game, you would realize Middletown North is a playoff caliber football team. They might be 1-7, but they are a playoff caliber football team. And so I don't know. I guess that's maybe a different twist than from your side.
Good argument.
Yeah.
Good argument.
Tyler, let's continue with the schedule a little bit. Back in the winter when they realigned, you saw that A-South was done. New schedule, new opponents. Middletown North, Long Branch, St. John Vianney, Rumson. What was your take when you saw some of these newer teams that you were going to play?
Well, it was definitely a shock. I had kids coming to me in school, like, you see your schedule, and at that time I was in basketball season, and to be honest with you, I didn't really see it. But eventually I did, and I've never played like a St. John Vianney before, so we definitely kind of took a step back and looked. But at the end of the day, I don't care who we play, because it's not a matter of who we're playing, it's a matter of how we play as a team, and I believe firmly that if I lose a game, we beat ourselves. I don't think we've played a team this year that they beat us because they were physically field, better than us. I think there's been a couple plays in the games that they got ahead of us, but in the long run, I believe that it doesn't matter who we play. And I didn't think about it too much. I said whatever, kept going, working, grinding, and that's all it is.
Okay, Tyler. Now, you run the Flexbone. Memorial's run it ever since Coach Curry has been here, 12 years now. You're the director of this offense. You come after a long line of outstanding quarterbacks, which I'm sure you've heard of and know of. Tell us what it takes to run this Flexbone offense.
First, it takes a team that's behind you and supports you, and no matter what you do and how the game goes. But it's not just a game of physicality. It's a mental game. You have to have some smarts and to understand how to run it and how to manipulate it. Last year I wasn't as confident and I wasn't as good as running it, but this year I found that if I tweak some things and these things happen and I can get away with certain things. And I remember watching Tim Santiago my freshman year and not knowing where I'd end up, and try to learn as much as I can from others. And a big another factor for me is my cousin Brian Staub, who I used to watch when I was
back in elementary school.
Right, and I didn't know what the Flexbone was, but it seemed pretty cool, so thought I might as well I could do it.
He ran it pretty well, right, Brian?
Yeah, he ran it okay. He was all right.
All right. So Tyler, not the X's and O's guys, but I want you to take me through the Flexbone. So a call is made and you come up and it's all on you. And Coach Curry, if I'm wrong, you jump in here on this one. So the first option is to hand the ball to what you would call your A-back, right?
Right.
All right, so what are you looking at before you make that split-second decision whether to give him the ball or take it out?
Well, first, before I even figure out who's going to be my first guy to read, depends on how the defense is playing. If they're playing stacked, it's kind of confusing because the second guy can become the first guy, and the first guy can become the second guy. And so once I get my first guy, if he slants towards me or the gap that the A-back would be running through, I was taught give them less. So if I think that the guy can tackle my A-back, I'm going to pull it. But if I think my A-back can get through, go down the field, then I give it. If I do pull it, though, then I go to my second read, who could be a strong safety or whoever becomes number 2 in my account. And that depends on if they chase me or if they chase my pitchback, who's coming around the backside of me. So it's kind of hard in the beginning. I remember I was very confused, but after repping it a while, it's like second nature.
Is there still some guesswork involved? I mean, sometimes do you just get lucky that you've made it, or is it all based on doing the right reads?
I think it's based on doing the right reads, but if the defense slips up, then you got to take advantage of it. But sometimes, if you're not an experienced quarterback, you wouldn't know if the defense slipped up or not because you don't know what it looks like. But it's a lot of kind of experimenting. We could practice for a team 1 week, and then when we show up, they could be a totally different thing. You just got to make your reads, count your guys, and the first thing is blocking. No matter what I read, if there's no blocking, then I can't do anything, because then I'll end up reading 4 guys. So I give a lot of credit to my linemen and my perimeter blockers for that, because without them I wouldn't have the success I do.
Coach, when did you know that Tyler had the ability to be the guy to run that offense?
Well, we hoped. There was always hope. His freshman year, he had an injury, but before that, we were very hopeful that he would be able to develop. And then his sophomore year, when he came back out and he was healed from his injury, we saw a lot of promise. In fact, he got a little time on defense. So we felt like he was going to be a varsity player, and we felt like he had good burst. But more importantly, he was a kid of high character who was a good decision maker. And when you're a good decision maker, it doesn't really matter whether you're a good decision maker in the pass game, a good decision maker in your life, a good decision maker in the option game. It really all carries over to everything else. So if you can throw the ball, then you can make good decisions and throw the ball. If you're a good decision maker and you can run, then you can run the option. And that's kind of where Tyler fit in. He was one of those kids that was a high character, good decision maker, on and off the field in every part of his life. And he had some speed, and that obviously always helps.
Yep.
Coach, let's go back to week 3. We're at Freehold Borough, 20-17 loss. You're a deflection away on the last play of the game from winning the game with a backup quarterback. The key component to that loss was that Tyler did not play due to an injury against Brick the week prior, a big cut gash under his chin. How does the scenario differ this week?
Well, first of all, I think that Anthony did a great job.
Anthony Albanese.
Anthony Albanese did a great job of playing quarterback that day. Ran for over 100, threw for over 100. Really had a quality day. We just couldn't put it together in other parts of our game to come away with the win. So that's something that has kind of gotten under our skin all season and kind of resurfaced again this week. So that's something that we'd like to have some redemption for, and our kids are pumped up about the opportunity to go back to Freehold Borough. As much as you want a home game, our kids are pumped to go back to Freehold Borough to the place where they kind of want a little bit of redemption. So our kids are pumped up about that. But Anthony played a great game, I thought, and filled in very, very well. In fact, beyond filled in. I mean, he's one of those guys that because of that performance really burst on the scene for us and became really a two-way starter from that point forward. So really that was kind of his springboard into an outstanding season. He's played a lot of wingback for us, played a lot of strong safety for us. So he's really done a great job, and he projects as a really good quarterback next year for us as far as that goes. I'm sorry, let me go back to your question. What was your question, Coach? I'm sorry.
Well, how does the scenario change this week?
Well,
what do you have to do to make that 2017 the other way?
Well, we have to execute better. That's really what it comes down to. We have to execute better. We have to block better. We have to read better. We have to tackle better. We have to do all those things. We have to win the turnover battle. All those kind of cliches that come with football. I mean, they're cliches for a reason.
True.
We have to block and tackle and protect the football. And if we do those things on Saturday, we'll have a chance. And if Freehold Borough does those things on Saturday, and I'm sure they will, they'll have a chance. And that means that we're in a fourth quarter football game with a 50-50 shot at winning. And I like our kids. So, I give us a good shot.
Tyler, even though their offense is very different than yours, both teams' focal point is on the quarterback running the ball. You've run for over 700 yards and 10 touchdowns this year, averaging 6 yards a carry. Their quarterback, Matt Krause, has run for over 1,000 yards. It's a little more of a wildcat kind of offense, but it really comes down to maybe which quarterback has the biggest game. Not that I'm putting any pressure on you. His team wins.
Pressure makes diamonds, but
very good. Whoa.
I think that even though it is similar, it definitely isn't just the quarterback. There's a lot of pieces that are moving that need to go right for me. It's not just there's a scramble of people and I somehow find a way. There's seams and there's ways of doing it, but like Coach was saying, we need to tackle better. As I remember watching from the sideline, it was weird for the first time in my high school career, but we just need to tackle better. I remember that kid, he was running all over, and it's very kind of like you said, a wildcat, and it's not. It's like very.
It's what they do.
It's very it's just all over the place sometimes. So, and I guess that works, but I think that if my pieces work, which I'm sure they will, that we'll come on top. And if his yards are more than mine, and my team still wins, then he's sitting at home and I'm playing.
That's what counts. I do want to ask Coach Curry though, defending what they do. How do you defend that?
Yeah, it's funny because we got this new schedule, and then you start looking at some film and that you get from other places, and you look at teams' offenses and defenses. You're like, man, everybody's different, and there's nobody who's more different than Freehold Borough. They're 5 wide. They're running inside zone with the quarterback, basically running as a tailback, and with 5 wide receivers, and dudes running all over the place. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge. But our kids have been up to the challenge. The first time we played them, they're up to the challenge this time around as well. And again, both teams are going to play hard, and both teams, I'm sure, are going to play well. And it's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and we'll see what happens.
Tyler, one more key question here. You lost your A-back mid-season, Billingsley, who was off to a great start and a great season. You put a young sophomore in there. Tell us about the kids that are surrounding you in this offense.
They're kids of, as Coach said, high-character kids. I think Ja was a great asset to us, but with the type of kids we have, it doesn't matter where they get thrown in. They'll work, and TJ MacArthur's been doing a great job, and everyone around me is just solid kids. Thankfully, I had the opportunity to have Kyle McBride and Logan Baxter from my line last year with us, and that's a big thing because he takes Michael Spinola, Jameson, and Chris under their wings and tries to help them. And, of course, my perimeter guys, Jeff, Mackay, David. Like I said, it's not just, even though I have to kind of engineer the offense, I need the parts around me. And as you can see, a couple games, it works, and a lot of games were close. And we're not really thinking about those games. We're thinking about the next game. But I'm sure that we'll work and grind, and we'll come on top.
By the way, T.J. MacArthur, you mentioned, has done a really nice job. He's also the leading tackler on the team. He has 64 tackles, but I don't want you to think I forgot. You have 4.
I have 4?
Yeah, you have 4 according to your stats. So you're only 60 away from him.
Right. No, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
4 tackles. I don't really remember.
Hopefully they weren't on interceptions.
No, hopefully not.
We don't throw the ball at.
No, yeah.
That's a good point.
I've only thrown it like 5 times.
I didn't even bring that up. I do want to ask you, though, you're a senior, so what are your plans after high school? What have you thought about college-wise?
As of right now, I'm not sure whether I'm going to play football or lacrosse. I picked up lacrosse my sophomore year and kind of just ran with it. But as of right now, focusing on the season, and then once the season's over, I'll have a little break period, and I'll figure it out more. But as of right now, I'm not too sure whether football or lacrosse.
No basketball this year?
I think you
haven't decided yet.
I want to kind of lift and get stronger for lacrosse, so might have to put that in the back seat.
I enjoyed watching you play basketball.
All right. Well, hey, Tyler, it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
And you're an analytical guy. I really enjoyed the way you kind of broke down the flex bone and everything, and I wish you a lot of luck on Saturday, and hopefully for you that season doesn't come to an end this weekend, right?
I don't think it will. Thank you.
All right. Coach, always a pleasure. Thank you very much, Walton. We just might see you next weekend in a semifinal game, hopefully. So.
Well, we'll see. I mean, like I said, we're going to battle. We're going to battle. And so will Michigan, by the way, held to the victors.
That's twice this year I've gotten,
Penn State negativity.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all right. We'll see what happens. We're going to come back and we'll sort of go through this playoff opening round real quick. Bob will rejoin us, and we'll do that right after this on the Gateway Toyota Coaches Corner on 105.7 The Hawk.
36-month lease with approved credit through TFS Corolla 5189 or RAV44988 due at signing. $0 security deposit. Excludes tax tag title 439 doc fee 10K miles per year. Ends 11/30/2018.
Get it all at Gateway Toyota.
Black Friday is here at Gateway Toyota. Drive new 2019 Corolla LE CVT or 2018 RAV4 LE. Your choice, just $99 a month.
Get it all at Gateway Toyota.
Toms River GatewayToyota.com.
You're a football fan, and sometimes you want to watch the games with your friends and other fans. The Office Restaurant and Lounge loves football and invites you to watch all the games in their 28 HD TVs and take advantage of their awesome $6 football menu. On Thursday and Sunday, buy a 22-ounce mug for $4 and get refills of Miller Lite or Coors Light for just $2. Enjoy football with your friends at Tom's River's Place to meet and eat for 42 years. The Office Restaurant and Lounge at the intersection of Route 37 and Main Street.
Happiness is here, and it sparkles. For a limited time, get our Lancome Holiday Beauty Box worth $422 for only $65 at Macy's with any $35 Lancome purchase. Enjoy 10 full-size beauty essentials for the perfect holiday glow. Plus, the new Youth Activating Genifique Eye Cream and Serum. and our signature mascaras, all in a luxury travel case. Believe in the wonder of giving. Visit Lancome at Macy's, the gift destination.
Ready to see your home with newfound clarity? Then choose GE Reveal LED light bulbs at Lowe's. GE Reveal bulbs filter out dull yellow light to enhance color and whiten whites for exceptional clarity at a much better value, starting at just $2.25 a bulb. And with our Love Your Light guarantee, if you don't love Reveal, return it for a full refund within 30 days. So when you're ready to make the switch, find GE Reveal at Lowe's, the only home center exclusively offering the full range of GE lighting.
Imagining a better bank starts with looking at the savings rates most banks offer and saying, really? Capital One is building something better. You can open a Capital One savings account with one of the nation's best savings rates from anywhere, like here, or here, or here. One of the nation's best savings rates. Opened online, at a Capital One location, or from anywhere. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
You're listening to the Gateway Toyota Coach's Corner. Classic rock for the Jersey Shore. 105.7 The Hawk and 105.7thehawk.com.
As we sort of say every week around this time, it's late in the fourth quarter. A couple of minutes. The 2-minute warning.
We are at the 2-minute warning.
The 2-minute warning. Actually, a little more than 2 minutes, but Katie O'Keefe will tell us back at the station when we're down to 2 minutes. But, guys, looking at the schedule this weekend, you talked about the 23 Shore Conference teams that have made it. There are a couple of Shore Conference versus Shore Conference matchups. Central Jersey Group 4, you have Middletown North at Long Branch tomorrow night. On Saturday night now, it's Jackson Memorial at Brick, and Jim Colbert, the Jackson historian, with a really interesting tidbit today. And Bob is aware of this. Jackson, Brick leads the all-time series between the two teams 27-13. They have played in the playoffs 4 times. Jackson has won all 4. How about that? The Jaguars, 2000 and 2001, they're back-to-back championship teams. And then 2014 and 2015, years in which Brick won during the regular season and Jackson beat him in the playoffs.
Exactly what I was going to say. A lot of trends that Brick would like to reverse come Saturday night, but Jim always with best tidbits. Could you imagine if every school had a historian like Jim Colbert? I wouldn't have enough facts. I wouldn't know what to do with them all.
We'd have a lot of fill for blowout games, let me tell you what. The other one in that section, by the way, in which we said there are 7 of the 8 teams from the Shore, Brick Memorial, as we said, obviously at Freehold. On Saturday, you have Ocean at Rumson in Central Jersey Group 3 tomorrow night. Of course, we talked quite a bit about that. And the other one is in non-public Group 3 on Saturday afternoon. Donovan Catholic visits Modern Day Prep. That's a rematch of just a few weeks ago, game that Modern Day Prep won pretty handily. And, the Seraphs just might be the best team in the entire Shore Conference. We'll find out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, they may be. I mean, they suffered their first loss last week by 1 point to Cheshire Academy, which is a post-grad school. So that's like them playing the Hun or Lawrence
Blair
or Blair, or a team like that. So Modern Day is very good. And the way those play out, if it's chalk, it's Modern Day versus Red Bank Catholic for a state championship.
Yeah,
and I think everyone would love to see that
Which
game.
would settle the issue of number 1 in the Shore as
make
well.
it
By the way,
easy for me.
Red Bank Catholic gets the bye this weekend and an uneven number of teams in that division. So
probably would rather be playing if I had.
No, I understand why you'd say that, but they're a little banged up.
Okay.
Billy Guidetti missed the Middletown North game, which fortunately worked out for them because Kevin Degnan had a career night and was voted as our Orthopedic Institute Player of the Week.
Yep.
I know Kevin Bauman, their outstanding tight end committed to Notre Dame, was dinged up a little bit, so gives them a chance to get healthy. That RBC Rumson game took a lot out of both of those teams. RBC was able to get by. As you saw, Rumson lost to Middletown South, so RBC getting that by I think is actually really good for them this time.
Upset winner of the week? I got one.
Go
Toms
ahead.
River North upsets Vineland on the road.
Yeah, those 5-4 matchups are
okay.
super close.
Still got to travel 2 hours south to go to Vineland.
Oh,
That's
I made that drive
I've made that
2
quite a
years ago.
few times myself. That's
And,
not an easy trip. The Fighting Clan of Vineland.
I'll tell you what, it's an interesting place to go see a game. The streets are 90 feet wide. It looks like 1940. Catone Stadium is an interesting place to see a game. It was a great atmosphere. But, the Mariners are a young team, and I think maybe that's a good thing. They go down there maybe not knowing any better, and they go out there and certainly have a good chance to win that game.
Ed gave you a pick. You can see all our picks on this weekend's games tomorrow morning, right? Tomorrow morning? on ShoreSportsNetwork.com. We've picked all the games for this weekend involving the state playoff
only the
teams.
state teams. Right?
Yeah, only the state games. I know there are consolation games. By the way, as we are speaking right now,
Yes.
consolation games
Yeah, some are
being
done.
played, and there'll be some on Saturday as well. No consolation games on Friday night. Next week, we're at River Rock in Brick. Obviously, we'll continue the playoff discussion with teams that are still left playing for state championships. Again, for all your high school football news, check out ShoreSportsNetwork.com. Want to thank, of course, here Tom Trebley and Greg Lerner, of course, for taking care of all the little things. Katie O'Keefe back at our studios. Of course, the wait staff here at the Office Restaurant and Lounge were always magnificent. And, of course, for my broadcasting colleagues Bob Batters and Ed Sarluca, I'm Kevin Williams. Stick with us throughout the rest of the high school football season. You've been listening to the Gateway Toyota Coach's Corner on 105.7 The Hawk. Good night, everyone.
The Gateway Toyota Coach's Corner on 105.7 The Hawk was powered by Gateway Toyota, Route 37 East in Toms River. Get it all at Gateway. Join us again next week. Get a complete look at Shore Conference football anytime. Log on to ShoreSportsNetwork.com.